Okay, welcome to another tutorial in part of Unit 1, which is where we're now going about creating our templates and graphics for our Facebook page, or how you would go about doing that when you eventually get through and past your design ideas and generally produce your final page. So what I'm going to do is in part of one of the tutorials that we did earlier on, we used GIMP to create a Wolverine fire part effect, and I'm going to use that graphic to act as a background for my Facebook timeline cover as an example, and show you how I went about doing that. Or how I go about doing that. So I'm going to go and get it imported. So I'm just going to go to File and import the graphic, which is here, the Wolverine flyer part, and I'm just going to hit Open. Now, because I created it at 300 dpi, it's going to be absolutely massive, so I'm going to have to scale it down first. So once that comes in, as you can see, it's absolutely huge. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to stick the padlock on the scaling tool, and I'm going to drop it right down so that I've got a fairly kind of relevant size for the product I'm going to clip it onto. It's still a little bit too big, it's a bit small there, so I'm just going to create it to probably about the width, or a little bit wider than the actual Facebook timeline cover, and I'm then going to just position it. Now, at this moment in time, it's currently hovering over the timeline cover, which is no good, because we want to be able to position it accurately. So the way I would get a decent position on it, I would drop it right to the bottom of the layers stack. So I'm just going to go to Object and lower to bottom. So now it's behind the actual graphic. So what I can now do is sort of position it so that I can get the most out of the graphic itself and still be able to show people what the graphic is. Now, the clipping process, to remind you, is ensuring that the background is now selected. I'm just going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to select the template. Now I've got the two elements selected, and I'm just now going to go to Object, Clip, and Set. And now that has got my graphic in place. Just to show you exactly how much of a template it actually is, I'm just going to raise it right to the top, because it's currently behind the original timeline cover that I did. I'm just going to raise it to the top, and now what you can see in actual fact is that it is literally a template ready for uploading. But what we're going to do is we're just going to add a bit of text to it. So, for example, I think that the template, the page that I'm going to create is one specifically for web design as part of my own freelance portfolio. So that's how I'm going to set the content around that particular product that I design. So I'm just going to zoom in, and what I think might be a good idea is I'll just create a background that's black somewhere around where the profile image would go, and I'm just going to go to Object and lower to bottom. So now I know where my profile image is going to be, and I can delete that later. So I'm not going to be writing any text over the top of it, or in that actual space, because naturally it won't show up on my Facebook page. So now I've got that in place and I know where everything is, I can now start to add text around that space that will be obviously immediately identifiable. So I'm just going to web design, and type of things that I can do. So it would be HTML websites, PHP websites, social media, and what else could I put in there as well as an example? I think I'm going to place mobile sites as well. So I can create mobile sites. Right, so what you can do is you can either keep that black, or if you wanted to, maybe change the font. So select, say, all the services, and I'll just change that to Arial. Drop the size down a little bit so it's a little bit more in space, and probably make some of these capitals. Okay, so Just editing the text a little bit. Now, where you choose to put your font, I think is up to you. I mean, I think the importance of having a space like this and ready for you to kind of add text to an information is also choosing what type of information you're going to show. You know, I think that one of the important things is showing people as much information as possible with this marketing space, because that's essentially what it is. So I'm going to put my web address down, definitely, because I want people not only to look at my page, but if they want to, they could open up a new tab and see my website. However, there will be a link there. I'll show you how to do that. Maybe also a Twitter address as well. And say on the right hand side of it, there's the edge. I'll bring a guide in so I know exactly where the edge is going to be. And just towards the bottom. So I'm not going to be, I'll maybe give an example of my work. So I'm just going to go to File and Import and find, say, a screenshot of a website that I've done in the past. So if I go to one of my folders on my USB stick, I'm sure I've got some work in there somewhere. I'll go up. Creative stuff. Maybe I've got a, there we go, I've got one of those. It's one of my websites that I've done. So I'll say open, and making sure the padlock is scaled. I'm just going to pop that in the bottom there. I don't want it to really encroach too much on the graphic that I've created for Wolverine, so I'll pop that there. And then maybe pop in another one as well. I've probably got a few more in there that I can use. There's one more. Pop that. There's the top of it, so I'm just going to find another guide. Make sure that that's not going to encroach on the edge. And then it's just ready, once I get rid of my background, for exporting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Object and Group, so everything's stuck together. And then I'm going to go to File and Export. Drop the DPI to 90 because I don't want it too big, and as you can see then at 90 it's going to show you the exact width, which is 851 by 315, which is what I need it to be. And I'm just going to put this up on the desktop. I save, and then ensuring that the selection button is obviously selected and not the page, because that will export the actual page itself and not this drawing. So make sure that your selection button is blue, and then hit export. Now if I go to my desktop now, and if I try and create a preview, okay, so there's my final example, and I'm just going to right click and preview, and hopefully this should zip into Adobe Image Ready, because just to let you know that this is something that maybe use some information while this loads up. For some of you, I've obviously been promoting the use of GNU open source software, which is free, and I think that's a good idea to use your open source software. But what I think would also be a good idea is have a look at a website called www.techspot.com, and they at this moment in time, for how long I'm not sure, they will be offering the CS2 packages for Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, CS2 for free. So if you want to get on that website and possibly get yourself a free copy, then by all means do so. Now that's loaded up. What you can now see is the template ready for uploading to Facebook, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into Facebook, show you how to set one up in the next tutorial, a new page, and show you how to upload your Facebook timeline cover so that it sits perfectly inside it.